Hey, what's up, ghouls and gals? This is going to be part 2 to a video that I've done. I have talked about film scenes or films as someone who I would consider pretty desensitized to a lot of things in horror movies. I'm still human and I still do get grossed out and, I get the ick from certain things. And I just want to come and give you the rest of that list because there are a few things that have stuck with me in such a way that I gotta talk about it. But also, there's a recent thing that just happened to me last night that I gotta talk about also. And I've had COVID for a week, so this is my first video back and I just gotta yap because I'm going stir crazy here. So if you enjoyed this video, please go ahead and give it a thumbs up, subscribe for more, check out all of my links down below if you would like to see any more of me or support the channel any further. My November monthly wrap up, my Letterboxd wrap up, is going to be we've watched so many movies, and then December is our film fest, and it's just gonna be even more, so much an excess of movies, and I cannot wait to talk about it all with you. So if you want to follow along with our film fest, I will leave the free link to my Patreon so you can watch along with us starting this Friday, December 6th. I cannot wait to just spend 5 days watching movies with you guys. So without further chit chat, let's get into, this was only meant to be 5, but 6 movie moments that, horror and non-horror, that actually make me still feel sick or disgusted or disturbed or whatever you want to classify this as. I've got the ick. Also, I do want to preface this by saying I am going to be talking about some pretty heavy things, so if you are not okay with talking about perhaps drug use or even I'm going to be talking about a lot of puke coming up, so if you don't like things like that, maybe tune off. But I'm going to start off by talking about a movie that I will probably never watch ever again, and that is Requiem for a Dream. I am almost 10 years clean and sober from opiates, specifically fentanyl, and I am thankful every day for my life. I feel like I did come out of that on the other end pretty scathed, and it could have been worse. I might not have been here right now if it would have went any darker, and I'm glad that I had my parents to help me through this. And speaking of that, when I kind of came home, I had lived away for a while, and when I came home, I didn't know where my life was going to go. This was in 2015. I decided to watch Requiem for a Dream, and sitting there in my bedroom watching this horrific film just on my little laptop, it changed my life. And the day after that, I decided to get sober, and it was because of that movie. I feel in watching that, I saw my life flash before my eyes in so many different ways that it could go. And in seeing that, I made a choice to stop doing drugs. And personally, it was the best choice that I ever made because it led me here to my biggest passion, which is creating content and finding myself again through horror movies and the love of just the thing I've always loved. I came back to myself after having to, I feel like I left my body and I left myself for so long, and then seeing Requiem for a Dream, it snapped me out of it, and I was like, okay, we're done. We're back. We are not doing this anymore. And I went through withdrawal cold turkey, and the whole time I thought about that movie, and I will never end up like Jared Leto's character in that movie ever in my life. And I feel like this list is only gonna get worse, and I mean, not for relatable experiences, but the topics are gonna get kind of more gruesome as we go on. So moving on. Gaspar Noé has a way with films. he just, speaking of, would like to make a children's film. Very interested. But Climax was such a good movie. Climax is such a fantastic movie. In fact, it was such a good movie that I had to lay down afterwards because I felt like I was getting a migraine. It felt like it was jumbled my brain in such a way that it made me feel sick at the end. But there was one specific scene in that movie that truly did make me feel so sick and so sad and so much despair. And it was the scene where, like, I'm doing this all from memory because I feel like these scenes have truly traumatized me. The scene where the woman puts her son in the electrical closet and he gets electrocuted, and, you know, it is a horrific scene. As a child, if you think about it from the child's perspective, probably doesn't know what's going on. All of these people are laced with LSD. They're all seeing stuff that he doesn't know what's going on. He possibly, I don't remember if he drank it, the spiked punch, but if that happened, like, you're even more scared. If you are a child who was just drank spiked LSD and you're in an electrical closet, like, it is so scary. It is such a scary and harrowing and horrific scene if you just think about it from the perspective of the child. And I do every time I think about it. And it's just like, it lives in my brain. And I've only seen that movie once. And every time I think about the film, I'm like, oh my God, it's so good. The dancing is so good. The music is so good. But I just, the kid? Oh my God. But moving on to the entirety of Necromantic 2. Okay, hear me out. I probably would have not had an issue with this movie because I did not mind the first one. Necromantic 1 was a walk in the park for me. But something about eating dinner while I think I've talked about this before. Something about eating dinner while watching Necromantic 2, it just makes your stomach turn. I normally have a pretty strong stomach and will for things, but I had to turn to Alex and I was like, either you have to turn this off or I am going on a hunger strike. I was not about to and the thing is I really liked the movie and I was really enjoying the movie, and it was just such an inopportune time for me to be watching it that I was just sick while watching it, and I feel like that's a natural reaction. But yeah, that was rough. Okay, and there's another film. This is involving kids again, so we're just gonna be gentle around this topic because this is kind of graphic. The Human Centipede 2. The first time I saw this movie, I believe I was either at the beginning of my addiction or in active addiction. I kind of blacked it out. I did not remember the movie at all. I was like, the Human Centipede films, the first one's great. Third one is just camp. It's so funny. But number 2, I had like blacked out of my mind for, I don't know why. So many movies that happened to me with, and I feel like I've got to experience things all over again, which is extremely upsetting to even have to, but I'm looking at it in a way where it's like, oh, I got to experience all these new things again. Whatever, I digress. Human Centipede 2. I remember Alex going, like, this is a recent one for me because I didn't remember the movie for so long, but when we met and he was like, oh yeah, like a disturbing movie moment, the Human Centipede 2. I remember when the baby got its dome smashed in with a gas pedal, and I was like, that happened? I don't remember. So he showed me to refresh my memory, and yeah, that happened. It happens. Does happen. And it's bleak. That is a bleak film. And you know what? I don't know why. It's just that's that movie entirely. I feel like there's, I don't know, maybe I'll have to like go through and think about films that I don't even remember seeing. But yeah, that one I put that movie so far in the recesses of my brain that I didn't realize it was actually as disturbing as it is. And I'm not saying that as a good thing because it's horrific, but yeah, the like realization that that happened and that I had seen that, and I was probably in a state of mind where I was so out of it that I didn't even register what was going on. It makes me feel like I was like, oh my god, my empathy like kicked in, and I can't do this. Okay, we're gonna talk about something that's non-horror for a second, because you guys know that I'm like, I'm getting better with my puke trauma, okay? I'm getting a lot better with it. Real life stuff, I'm still not there. But watching it on TV, I can tell myself it's fake. This is more than likely fake. It's fine. I don't need to spiral. Let me just, speaking of spiraling, let me tell you about like one of my bigger, where this all stems from. When I was on a family vacation when I was a kid, we went to Muskoka. If you guys are in Canada, you know, it's like a beautiful, beautiful vacationing place. Whole family in this log cabin knew that I was afraid of vomit. So they put on this movie that I had, somehow when I see scenes or with puke in it or like something, I remember exactly where the scene is in the movie. And they were about to watch The Best Man. If you guys know, it's a good movie, 90s movie. I knew there was one scene near the end where someone vomited out of a car. And I made them put a blanket over, because it was a big shared area and like my bed was in that shared area. And I remember them having to put a blanket over, and I was covering my ears. I was so afraid that I was gonna wake up and I was gonna turn over and I was gonna see it on the TV. And then from then on, like my whole family, including my grandma, who had a blast with this her whole life, would just follow me around going bleh, bleh. Like it was so traumatizing for me. So when I think about that, I feel like I can connect my trouble with this next movie to that, because it's Triangle of Sadness. And if you've seen Triangle of Sadness, you know there was a whole scene that has to do with seasickness. And having that issue already, and being someone who deals with some really bad motion sickness. I had a pretty bad head injury that kind of kicked off some motion sickness for me. But it gets really bad. So I'm thinking about little me being so traumatized, and I'm watching this movie, and I'm watching just the non-stop, like 20-minute puke scene, it felt like. And it was coming from every angle, and they were slipping in it. I cannot get too graphic here because I know some of you guys might get sensitive, but it was just so unbelievably graphic. Like I was white knuckling the chair watching that scene. It was so hard for me to watch. I rated the film very high, but it really did give me such a visceral experience. And I thought about me being like 11 years old, so traumatized, so scared, being here at 30 years old, so traumatized, so scared. Like it never, like I'm getting like tears in my eyes thinking about it. Like it never ended. God. Yeah, that's a rough one. I feel like I kind of went on a tangent there, but I needed you to know where this stemmed from. It's rough. And I feel like I don't know, I've gotten a lot better, like I said. When I was getting sober, when I went through withdrawal, immediately after I found out I got sober, immediately after I found that I had cancer. And that was a wild ride because that involved a lot of vomiting for me. And it was an eye-opening experience. And I feel like in that, I've gotten a lot better with me as a person, but I don't want to see it. I don't want to hear it. I don't want to think about it. I don't want to even deal with it. Puke on your own time. I always tell Alex like these little stories that I remember where I feel like I can pinpoint my exact trauma with vomit in these exact times in my life that things have happened, and it is stuck with, like, I just turned 31 and I can't get over it. Like, let me know if you feel the same way. Okay, I'm gonna end this video with something else that I also can't get over. As a 31-year-old, I'm just gonna say it, I am afraid of The Grudge. And not like, okay, so back to this story. In 2004, The Grudge came out. I had a tiny little 13-inch CRT TV in my bedroom. I've told this story before. My best friend and I were watching the film. I was so impacted and affected by Kyoko in that film when she came down the stairs, when she spider crawled down the stairs, when she popped up out of the damn sheets. Just so many moments in that movie scarred me so bad because I convinced myself it was going to happen to me, that The Grudge was going to get passed on to me, and that I was going to see her in my sheets. So I had to sleep with my mom for 2 full weeks, and maybe one time I will get her on this channel to let you guys know about every time I was scared of a horror movie and I had to sleep with her. But anyways, I carried that with me for 20 years, and I never watched that movie again. And every time I thought about it or saw it, I would close my eyes. I was so afraid. So Alex and I, this month, we went back and we rewatched Ju-on, The Grudge, and the 2004 remake. And I feel like with those films, there was a formula, and you can kind of anticipate. And I remembered, obviously, I have a really good memory. I could anticipate the scary moments that were happening. So I would turn my head and I would just kind of, not really think about it, because her damn face fucking scares. You guys know I'm terrified of scary faces, and her face scares me so bad. If you go on Shudder, like, her face is everywhere. Anyways, like, I'm so affected by it's not even that scary, but you know what? It just affected me so much as a kid that I carried it with me for so many years. So I feel like I conquered my fear a little bit with The Grudge, okay? It's fine. We got through. We watched Ju-on. We watched The Grudge. We watched the 2019 remake, which was a complete disservice to the franchise. So Alex was like, let's watch Ju-on 2. When you go on Shudder and you look at Ju-on 2, her fucking face is the first thing you see, and it's so scary, and she's so bloody, and she's so scary looking. And I was fine for almost the whole runtime of the movie. I've never seen it, so I didn't know what to really predict, but I felt I could close my eyes at certain points and really, avoid. Until the end, when there was a birthing scene, and Kyoko gets birthed out, and she's doing she's crawling out of this woman's puss, and a new fear was unlocked in me. That instilled so much fear. Seeing her come out of a different orifice, that really fucked me up, okay? I'm getting like teary-eyed again because that really upset me. I was not expecting that. Like, I don't even want to throw in the long legs, like the long legs jump scare. It scared me so bad in theaters that I got like teary-eyed like this, because I wasn't anticipating it and I wasn't expecting it. But it's not something that I would carry around like The Grudge. That I'm gonna carry around until I'm in the grave. That is my grudge. Anyways, I'm gonna leave you there because I'm sweating. I'm gonna go make something for dinner. I hope that you guys are doing well wherever you are and enjoyed this video. It has been a long week. I have been so sick all week. As someone with an autoimmune disease, having COVID just took the life out of me for an entire week. But we did get a lot of good movies out of it, so I will be back to update you with all of that. So stay tuned, and I will see you guys very soon. Thank you for letting me trauma dump today. That was wonderful. Sayonara, spooky fam.